Jeremy Smith. I've been a carver for a little over 2 years now. Using a chainsaw to do it for about a year now. "37 years of my life spent basically not doing art or anything that most people would consider useful, I would say. And then in October of 2012, I was asked to carve a pumpkin for a pre-K class. And you know, everybody's carved a little jack-o'-lantern with the triangle eyes and all that, but I did what anybody would do these days, and I Googled it and saw how far the art of pumpkin carving has come, and laugh all you want, but man, it's insane what you can do with a pumpkin. And bought some cheap ribbon sculpting tools and carved a couple of pumpkins that year, and the fire was lit, you know, but the pumpkins were out. So after pumpkin season was over in 2012, searched around for whatever I could carve: candles, styrofoam blocks, carrots, you know, whatever, and as long as you can put an image in it. So then a friend of mine and neighbor was going to throw away a nice little chunk of red oak. He's going to put it in his fireplace and set it on fire. He got it from his firewood pile and gave it to me, and I hammered away at that thing with a Dremel, which is not the perfect tool for doing this, but it's what I had, for 4 months in my spare time. My long-term goal was to get into chainsaw carving, because that's just that's where the action's at. You know, you can do big things with a chainsaw, and that's my overall goal, is to get into monumental sized wood carvings, which is the reason we're here today. So I went and did the consultation with the city manager, Bill Fan. Was trying to come up with ideas. It wasn't a huge stump, but I knew I could do something with it. And originally I think I sold him on the idea of 2 figures walking on the Trail of Tears. And if I'd stuck with that, we would have had this conversation about 2 or 3 weeks ago, honestly. But the more I looked at it, the more I saw 3 figures emerging from that piece of wood. And I felt like that would tell a better story, and a more nuanced and subtle story, because the man represents the anger, the woman's sadness, and the child fear. And more or less the best way to sum it up: 2's company, 3's a crowd, and it tells a better story. And the reason I came up with those expressions, I guess, I try to get into the subject matter, try to find the best way of telling the story, I guess you'd say, with the wood, the opportunity that we have. And we only had one shot. And as I understand it, that's the site of Big Spring Park, is the site of one of the original Cherokee removal camps. And those of you who don't know much about the history, basically the United States government, we found gold in this area where all these Cherokee people were living. And they had mostly assimilated with the European settlers at that point, but they found it to be more profitable to root these people off of their property and force them to march thousands of miles to Oklahoma. And it's a very terrible chapter in our nation's history. It really is. It's just awful stuff. But I felt like, because it's so awful, it was more important to tell an honest story, I guess, with the way these people would have looked, or what they would have been thinking. And the only way you could tell what they might have been thinking was by the expressions on their face. So eventually I settled on the idea that the 3 different figures would portray 3 different sides of the emotions being felt by the people that were being forced to leave their home and their property. And the man, obviously, easy choice for the anger, because you know, who wouldn't be angry about that? And the woman, you know, just sadness, just eyes closed, crying, bawling, despondent, not knowing what to do, and sort of being comforted by the man. And the child, being a small child, you know, what else would a child feel but fear, you know? So that's how that came about. As far as what I want people to feel, I'm not sure what I want people to feel, but I do want them to think about, you know, like I said, this terrible chapter in our history. It's important to know your history. especially so that you don't repeat it.